That's Stray's tutoring? Hey guys, welcome to today's video where we'll be going over nucleic acids. This is a part of our series where we talk about different macromolecules, and I would really hate myself if I missed out on nucleic acids. Everyone knows I love proteins, but I do have to show love to the other macros, of course. So before I get a beating from nucleic acids, let me just go ahead and talk about some of the different macromolecules that we talked about before. We talked about lipids, we talked about carbohydrates, and of course, protein is my favorite. I swear I can make 2 billion videos about them, but I have to show love to the others. Nonetheless, we do have nucleic acids, and it's the same idea here. We have these large molecules. We have macro, which means big or large molecules that are important to biological systems and life. So with nucleic acids, they are very important because they can be classified as DNA or RNA. Those are the two different types of nucleic acids. And why is this important? Because if we look at DNA, we have something called genes, right, that we inherit from our parents. It's given down to our offspring, where these genes are responsible for basically controlling and coding what goes on in a biological life. So genes consist of something called DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid. And these DNA consist of nucleotides, actually. I put nucleic acids, which it's really nucleotides, which we'll talk more about in the next slide. And we know that DNA is responsible for replication. So when cells divide, that is replication. We are replicating a cell, and we're growing. When we have children that are growing up, their cells divide, and this is through replication of the DNA that's within that cell. And then we have RNA, the most important. I really am showing so much love to proteins for this being a nucleic acid video, but protein synthesis, we use RNA, so we can create proteins that can be later used to create enzymes, different type of regulatory proteins, structural proteins. So it's all so important, and we have to thank the nucleic acids for this, and the proteins too. But nonetheless, we'll go ahead and give nucleic acids a round of applause. So the two types again that we have are RNA and DNA, and you guys can see the difference here where the DNA is considered a double helix. It has two strands of nucleotides, and then we have just one single strand, which would be RNA. So if we look into this more, we know that these nucleic acids are made up of something called a nucleotide. In the nucleotide, we have a phosphate group, sugar, and then a base. So think PSB. It consists of a phosphate, sugar, and base, simply. And then what we have is they can link together covalently, and then in the middle we have hydrogen bonding going on, and this was what creates this double helix. But before I get too ahead of myself, this would be considered a nucleotide, and then it's connected to this second one, this third one, and then this fourth one. And then the nucleotide right next to it is connected through hydrogen bonding, one of the most important bonds in biological life. And you can see it continues on and on and on. And this is how we have our double helix, the beautiful double helix that everyone, when you think DNA, that's the first thing that you think of. So now if we talk about the nitrogenous bases, these are different types of bases that are in the nucleotide, correct? And let me just go ahead and blow this up. It's classified into two different groups. That is the purines and the pyrimidines. The pyrimidines are 6-membered rings, if you see. And a 6-member ring is just one, two, three, four, five, six, a 6-member ring. So it has a ring structure and it has 6 carbons. Then we have the purines, which are 6-member fused. So as we see here, there are 2 like cyclic, or I would say 2 2 entities that are fused together. Even if if you had a test or something and we were supposed to say, identify this as a purine or pyrimidine, the main difference is purines have are fused compounds where these would not count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have 6 there. So these are 6-membered fused rings. So we have 6 carbons, but they're fused together, okay? And an easy way to memorize this for the purines, just think pure as gold, right? So we have guanine for the G, and then we have adenine for the A, and then the pure is just purines, pure as gold. Then we have P-cut, which is pyrimidines, and then cytosine, uracil, and thymine. So we have pure as gold and P-cut. And one thing to remember with uracil is only found in RNA, okay? So if we blow up this last image that we have here for our nucleic acids, we have DNA versus RNA. Again, the 2 types of nucleic acids. DNA is double strand and has the sugar phosphate, and its sugar phosphate is a deoxyribose. Okay, it has the thymine, and then it has its other nucleobases here. For RNA, it is single strand, and instead of that deoxyribose, we have just a ribose sugar, and instead of thymine, we have a uracil there. So those are the main differences between DNA and RNA, and those are the 2 types of nucleic acids. Again, these are very important for RNA as far as protein synthesis, and then DNA for replication of cells, okay? So that concludes this video. That's just a bit about nucleic acids, one of the major macromolecules in biological life. I'll go more in depth in another video talking more about the double helix and going more in depth as far as probably like DNA replication and more. Okay, so I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.